To correct a man is to handle a soul. Most people use a sledgehammer where they should be using a needle. We live in a world that confuses being right with being powerful. We have been taught that to point out an error is to assert dominance, that to win an argument is to survive a battle. But when you correct someone by embarrassing them, you haven't actually solved the mistake. You have simply created a new enemy. You have closed the door to their mind and locked it from the inside. You think you are teaching them a lesson. In reality, you are only teaching them how to hate you. I want you to travel back in your mind. Go back to a moment when you were wrong. Not a small thing, like a typo or a missed turn. Think of a moment when you were fundamentally mistaken about something you cared about. Perhaps it was at work, or in front of your family, or worse, in front of someone you desperately wanted to impress. Recall the heat that began to rise at the base of your neck, the way the room seemed to shrink, the sudden suffocating awareness of every eye in the room. Remember the voice of the person who corrected you. Was it sharp? Was it loud? Did they have that subtle cutting edge of satisfaction in their tone? In that moment, did you feel grateful for the new information? Did you feel enlightened? No, you felt exposed. You felt a primal need to defend yourself, even if you knew deep down that they were right. You didn't hear their logic. You only felt their sting. You weren't learning. You were surviving. The tragedy of this moment is that we have all been on both sides of it. You have felt the confusion of being the one who was right, yet wondering why the other person became so cold and distant afterward. You've asked yourself, why are they being so sensitive? Why can't they just admit they were wrong? You felt the exhaustion of trying to help people who seem determined to trip over the same stones. You felt the loneliness of being the only one who sees the truth, while everyone else seems content to live in the dark. You have likely told yourself that you are just being honest, that you tell it like it is, that if they can't handle the truth, that's their problem. But in the quiet hours, you know that isn't the whole story. You know that every time you win an exchange this way, you lose a piece of the connection. You are left with the truth, but you are left with it all by yourself. What if I told you there is a way to lead someone to the light without burning their eyes? What if I told you that the greatest leaders, thinkers, and healers in history understood a secret about human nature that we have forgotten? What you are about to hear is not a tactic. It is not a life hack or a social maneuver. It is a fundamental shift in how you perceive your own mind and the minds of others. It is a way of being that will change your relationships forever. It will make you the person people seek out when they are lost, rather than the person they avoid when they are struggling. Stay with me, because once you see this, you will never be able to look at a disagreement the same way again. 2,000 years ago, in a tent on the edge of a freezing Roman frontier, the most powerful man in the world sat down to write to himself. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome, but in his private journals, now known as the Meditations, he wasn't a ruler. He was a student. He was a man trying to survive the burden of his own ego. Aurelius lived in a world of betrayal, incompetence, and constant social friction. He was surrounded by people who were often wrong, often selfish, and often foolish. Yet he wrote these words: "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth by which no one was ever truly harmed. It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is the victim." But he went deeper. He developed what Stoics call the 10th precept. He realized that when we see someone doing wrong, our first instinct is to punish or mock. We want to be the judge. But the Stoic understands that the person who is wrong is already suffering. They are living in error. They are blind. Aurelius believed that if you must correct someone, you must do it as if you are a doctor, not an executioner. He believed that the goal of correction is propaedia, education, and restoration. It is the art of bringing a brother or sister back into harmony with reality, without making them feel like a criminal for having been lost. There is a psychological truth that we often ignore because it is inconvenient for our pride. The truth is this: human beings do not value facts more than they value belonging. When you correct someone in public or with a tone of superiority, you are triggering the part of their brain that monitors for social exclusion. To the ancient human brain, being cast out of the tribe meant certain death. When you embarrass someone, their amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires off. At that moment, they are literally incapable of rational thought. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that could actually process your correction, shuts down. By embarrassing them, you have physically prevented them from learning. The pain you feel when someone corrects you harshly is the pain of social death. It is a phantom wound. This is why people will defend a lie to the bitter end. It isn't because they love the lie. It's because the lie is the only thing standing between them and the shame of being lesser than. When you understand this, your anger toward others begins to dissolve into a strange, quiet pity. You realize that their defensiveness isn't a sign of malice. It's a sign of fear. This creates a profound moral struggle within us. You find yourself at a crossroads. One path is the path of self-protection. You think, if I don't call them out, I'm letting them get away with it. If I'm too nice, I'll look weak. If I don't stand my ground, the truth will be lost. The other path is the path of silence, which feels like complicity. You wonder, if I protect their feelings, do I lose my integrity? Am I becoming a doormat? This is the dilemma of the sensitive and the intelligent. You want to be a person of truth, but you also want to be a person of love. It feels like you have to choose. It feels like you are being asked to trade your backbone for a heart, or your heart for a backbone. You feel the tension in your chest every time someone says something factually wrong or morally questionable. You want to speak, but you dread the fallout. You want to be silent, but you dread the lie. Here is the beginning of wisdom. It is a hard truth, but it is a liberating one. Much of the friction you experience when correcting others comes from a hidden part of yourself. We must ask, why do we feel that urgent, sharp needle of desire to correct someone right now? If we are honest, truly honest, we realize that we often correct others not to help them, but to validate ourselves. We want the dopamine hit of being the one who knows. We want the quiet satisfaction of being the smartest person in the room. When we embarrass someone, it is often because we have unknowingly used their mistake as a pedestal to stand on. This isn't because you are a bad person. It's because you are human. You have been socialized in a competitive world. But wisdom begins when you realize that your rightness doesn't need a victim to exist. Once you stop needing to win, you are finally free to actually help. You realize that your contribution to the conflict wasn't the truth you spoke, it was the spirit in which you spoke it. Accepting this responsibility isn't about guilt, it's about power. If you are part of the problem, you can be the entire solution. Transformation happens when you realize that strength and softness are not opposites. They are a partnership. To correct without embarrassing is to use the Stoic whisper. It means pulling someone aside. It means speaking to them in the quiet when no one else is watching. It means beginning with your own fallibility. Instead of saying you are wrong, you say, I was looking at this and I got confused. Could you help me understand? You frame the correction as a shared journey toward the truth rather than a delivery of a verdict. When you do this, you aren't being weak. You are being surgical. You are bypassing their defenses and speaking directly to their reason. You are allowing them to keep their dignity, which makes them want to live up to the person you believe they are. This is the ultimate power, the ability to change someone's mind while keeping their heart. This is how you build an empire of loyalty rather than a graveyard of grudges. You become a person who doesn't just hold the light, but shares the flame. You are more than your mistakes, and so are they. You have the capacity to be a mirror for others, not a mirror that shows them their ugliness, but a mirror that shows them their potential. The next time you feel that surge of being right rising up in your throat, take a breath. Remember Marcus Aurelius in his tent. Remember the heat in your own neck from years ago. Choose to be the person you needed in your most vulnerable moments. You are a person of depth, of intelligence, and of immense inner strength. You do not need to diminish anyone else to prove your own stature. The truth is robust. It can wait for a private moment. It can wait for a gentle tone. Walk through the world with your head high and your words soft. You are at peace. You are clear. You are wise. And in your wisdom, you have found the greatest strength of all, the power to be kind when you are right. Sleep well tonight, knowing that you no longer have to fight to be seen. You are already whole.